Hope you're all doing well in your bubbles. It's pretty rainy and wet outside today, although it's still pretty warm, which is nice. Sorry for the lack of video yesterday. I was just busy. At the moment, all the teachers at Peria School are doing a TRL course, and I was busy listening to my lectures and doing my reading because there's a test to be done by the end of today. So I'm going to study for that once I finish this video. Anyway, today I wanted to talk to you about another fundamental skill. This one is as important as phonological awareness is to reading and writing. This is something that is just as important to mathematics, and it's called subitizing. I don't know if you've heard of that word before or not. I didn't until I went into teaching. But subitizing is basically the ability to know how many objects there are without counting. Yeah. I'm sure we do this all the time in our everyday life. We know how many fingers we have in one hand. We don't have to count them every time. We can play a board game with dice when we don't have to sit there counting up each dot on the dice. We hopefully can tell how many kids we have in the house at any given time by just looking. Hopefully we can subitize them. Or even when we play with dominoes. Although dominoes usually don't go too high either. It leads on nicely though to my next point. So generally people can get up to about 5 simple objects or dots, and they can subitize them instantly. They don't have to do much at all, just look at it. But once you get over 5, we have to look for chunks or groups within a pattern. So for example, I've got a really basic one up here. You can probably look at it and straight away say, oh, that's 10. But in that split second before you say it's 10, you might notice that there's 5 here and 5 here. Yeah. So that's you subitizing. So subitizing is so important for kids. Not just young children, not just kids in Te Puna, really. It really goes all the way through primary school. It just gets more and more complex further up. So with kids in Te Puna, one of the easiest, I should tell you first why it's important. So number sense is things like being able to put together chunks of different sets of numbers to make new numbers. Like for example, 5 plus 2. If you can subsidize, you notice this 5. You don't have to keep recounting it. So then you can count on. So 5, 6, 7. 5 plus 2 equals 7. So yeah, really key skill for that. Another one would be, so I've made a list here so I don't forget anything, would be the concept between more and less. So if you play a board game, for example, with 2 dice, you throw them down, they can instantly tell you, if you rolled a 6 and a 4, they will instantly be able to say, that one's bigger than that one. It's helpful for very young children when they're first introduced to numerals, which are quite an abstract concept. Like, it's like letters, right? At first, it doesn't really make sense for young children. So you wouldn't just write a number 4, you would probably give them something to subitize. You do a dot pattern underneath it. Helps them understand that this numeral represents 4. Yeah. And of course, being able to subitize well also means that you are much faster math skills. Of course, if you can count on, count back, that is very helpful in picking up your speed and being able to work out things like really big numbers. If you can count on from 46, and you say 46 plus 3, they can keep the number 46 in their head and then go, 47, 48, 49, you know. And the last thing is, of course, it develops the ability to recognize patterns. So I always tell the kids math is everywhere. There are patterns everywhere. All that is math. Math is primarily patterns and being able to recognize them and work them out. Okay, so anyway, some ways that you can practice subitizing with your child. One of the easiest ways is to play board games together. I don't know about you, but whenever I went to my mum's house on the weekend, we had a special board game night, and I'd get to choose like Monopoly or Snakes and Ladders, or in German it was called Mühle. And of course, other games like chess and stuff are useful for math too, but maybe not necessarily for subitizing. So yeah, playing lots of board games with your child can be helpful. Um, and I actually remember as a 6-year-old, they really wanted me to start subitizing bigger numbers in primary school. So mum got me dominoes. I remember complaining, going, "Oh, can I use the picture side of the dominoes and mash them up?" She's like, "No, you need to count those dots, Dominique." And it was really hard to begin with, especially when mum left me to it and walked off. So it's better to do it with your child. But eventually it was really easy, and I could play dominoes just fine after a couple of weeks of that. Um, Something else that involves subitizing that I think you might have in your house is just your voice. So you can take away all the pictures. It seems a little bit weird because we're talking so much about pictures of dots and stuff. But you can get kids subitizing in their head. So for example, we might say, okay, we're going to go to dinner once I have clapped 2 times. So you have to listen carefully. That wasn't 2 times. That wasn't 2 times either. Mm-mm. And then they can go. So they've got to keep all those claps in their head, right? So they're subitizing in their head. Another way you can do it is actually through literacy. So when you count up syllables in a word, like for example, in my name, Dominique, instead of putting up a finger for every syllable, they have to keep it in their head and go, Dominique. In that way, they're subitizing as well. And my name has 3 syllables. Those are kind of like the more playful, practical at home ways to teach subitizing. There are lots of great videos online which have dot patterns to subitize. You can do things such as tens frames of your children. So they basically look like this. I'm sure you remember them from when you went to school. So there's 5 boxes up here, 5 down here. You fill them out from left to right, top to bottom. If I was asking you how many are in that Thames frame, you would probably be straight away able to tell me, oh, there's 7. And then if I ask you how many there are, you're probably going to go, oh, well, there are 5 up here and there's 2 down here, and therefore it's 7. So you could do those with your kids too. I think playing board games and dominoes and just simple hands-on things, especially for at home, can be super effective. That's partly why I gave people a lot of options for games and gave you that link to that dad and his son. They've got a lot of good math videos on their website too. Anyway, and I can actually put in the description box below if you want it. Anyway, I will let you go now. It was nice seeing you all again, and I'll hopefully see you again on Monday if you're doing Zoom with me, or hear from you over my emails. So I'm going to go now because I want to see what our update is in regards to levels. Bye!